you decided to have a cozy night in and turn on some Netflix, but you're not sure of what you want to watch? Suddenly you realise you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and you can't seem to find what you want to watch. If this is you, don't worry, I've got your back, and we're about to go through my recommendations. Hey guys, what's up? It's Whoopi and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, hi. As you've seen in that beautiful intro, today's video is Netflix recommendations. In reality, this list is way longer and it has more diversity and breadth and width and depth, but I felt like cutting it down because not everyone wants to hear about my top 100 favorite things on Netflix. Enough of me rambling about the shows, let me actually tell you what my Netflix recommendations are. Also, before I continue, I just want to say I'm sorry if you can hear noise in the background. My housemates are obviously in my house and our walls are very thin, so we can't do much about that, but honestly I feel like the background noise adds to this video. So the first recommendation I have is The Vampire Diaries. Now, most people have heard of The Vampire Diaries. It is a beautifully made show, great acting. The actors themselves are pretty beautiful and that doesn't hurt. It's based off of books. It's basically about normal teenagers and teenage vampires and, you know, all that mystical, supernatural world. It's pretty dramatic and there's obviously a bit of romance, but I mean, like, I guess they wrote it well. But yeah, it's a story about how vampires and normal people clash and collide and their lives kind of spiral into each other and out of each other, and it's basically pretty intense. I would recommend this obviously because I've watched it quite a few times. Also, it is leaving Netflix on the 1st of November in Ireland and UK Netflix, so please at least watch the first 6 seasons before it disappears. You guys have 2.5 weeks to do this and I have the utmost trust in you guys if you actually want to do that. Now, sub to that recommendation, which this one is kind of a recommendation but isn't a full one, which is why I've said sub, is The Originals, which literally is a spin-off series off of The Vampire Diaries, and if you love The Vampire Diaries then I would definitely recommend it. There's only 5 seasons of that. Right, my next recommendation is Deaf You. Now, deaf meaning that you cannot hear, and I know this may seem obvious but I was trying to explain this last week to my housemates and they thought I was talking about people being dead and deaf, so I thought I would just squash that here. They basically follow college students in this deaf college called Gallaudet, I think it's pronounced. Honestly, it is such a gold show. Like, I've only watched 1 episode and I just love it. The students they follow are actually so funny. It made me really appreciate my hearing and the way I see the world, and it made me appreciate how they see the world, and it's very different. But honestly, even though I've only watched 1 episode, I would definitely recommend this. And the episodes are only 20 minutes long and there's only 8, which means that you can finish it in a day. Recommendation number 3 is Modern Family. Now, I really hope that most of you have even heard of Modern Family because it is just a joyous, beautiful sitcom show. Honestly, it's one of the funniest shows I've ever watched in my life, and that's saying something. Literally, if you're in a bad mood or if you're in a good mood, whatever mood you're in, just watching 1 episode will literally lighten your mood. I kid you not. I feel like this is a universal thing. Although it's my experience, I feel like this would happen to a lot of people. Laughing is a medicine. It makes you happier, and this show makes you laugh a lot. It's basically following a modern family in a documentary kind of way. These are actors pretending like they're in a documentary, but it's actually a sitcom show. It's a bit of Inception if you think about it, but let's not get too deep. They basically follow 3 families which are all one big family together, and it's just beautiful. It brings the emotions, it brings the drama, and it brings relatability, which I think we all need right now. Honestly, what's not to love about that show? What's not to love about that show? Also, Sofia Vergara is a queen. All the women on that show are queens, but like, I don't know, she inspires me. That's all I can say. Recommendation 4, Avatar: The Last Airbender. This brings me back to my childhood. If you have never heard or seen of Avatar: The Last Airbender, what have you been doing with your life? I'm joking, obviously, because I know not everyone has heard of it, but I just have this strong love for it, that's all. There's this 12-year-old called Aang and he's from the Air Nation. There's 4 nations. There's water, earth, fire, and air.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
last avatar died and disappeared, and then the next avatar was this 12-year-old guy from the Air Nation, and he literally was frozen in an iceberg for 100 years and woke up to find that his nation is completely gone, there's a war, and he's supposed to save everyone. And honestly, I would recommend this to any age. I don't care whether you're 5, 15, 45 or 75, you will enjoy it. It's actually got such serious undertones and themes and diversity, inclusion, talks about discrimination, unity, how you can choose your family, how you can be different from those in your family if you've had bad experiences, and so much more. And again, each episode is pretty short, so maybe on a lunch break or something, just slip it in. Okay, so we're gonna take a break from the general Netflix to the K-drama Netflix. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I've been learning Korean. If this is your first video, then now you know I learned Korean. And K-dramas is actually a really good way to help practice and learn Korean, but also they're just really enjoyable, over-dramatic plots, and sometimes you need that. I'm only gonna recommend 2, so this is the first one, Strong Girl Bongsoon. It was literally that K-drama for me. If you know, then you know. Every generation, the female is born with super strength, basically. They can lose it, however, if they use it selfishly or maybe for another extreme reason. So there's this woman who, she is technically a woman. It's weird because it's called Strong Girl Bongsoon, but she is a woman and she has a super strength and she's busy looking for a job. She ends up in a police station, not being arrested, but like giving a statement, and she meets her future boss in there, and it's basically just the unraveling of that. But on top of that, there's a serial kidnapper slash killer running around in the middle of South Korea, which just adds to it. This show has crime, has drama, has comedy, has romance, is a thriller, all in one, and the acting is top notch. If you want to diversify your Netflix, or maybe you want to just try something new, or if you really love K-dramas, I would definitely recommend this one. K-drama episodes are longer than Western shows, however, it's definitely worth every single minute. The second one that I want to talk about is Descendants of the Sun. Now this one focuses on like special agents within the military and doctors and how their worlds collide. It was on my list for ages, literally ages, but I just wasn't ready to watch it yet, and I just didn't have the time and blah blah blah. And then I started watching it, and then I got mum hooked into it. It's honestly so gripping. Again, there's crime, there's drama, there's a tiny bit of comedy, there's romance, there's tension, and there's like serious things that happen in it. Like, I don't know how else to tell you without it becoming a spoiler, but I promise you, you will enjoy it. Back to the other recommendations. Of course, I have to bring this one in, and that is Shadowhunters. If you watch my book recommendations video that I did literally months ago, and if you haven't, it'll come up somewhere up here, I recommended this book series, and I still do till the day I die. The show is based off of the books, and it's reimagined things in a different way, creatively gone about things differently, but also brought the books to life, and I would definitely recommend it. I'm not gonna lie, the first few episodes are a bit hard to get through as someone who's read the books, but that comes with a pilot season, you know, like filming a new show, getting into it. But I promise you, it's worth the first few episodes of awkwardness. I love the characters so much, and I love the actors so much, and there's inclusivity and diversity in it, and that really... Next, we have Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf will always have a space in my heart since I watched it, which was like, I think the first time I ever watched it was like 6 years ago. Wow. That's over half a decade. Anyway, the title says it all, to be honest. There's this guy and his friend. They go in the woods looking for a dead body. One of them gets bitten by a werewolf, hence Teen Wolf. It's basically about his journey into being a supernatural being, and how he finds his feet, and how his friends come into play with that, and how he manages to keep a love life going, and schoolwork, and being a good son. Again, I would definitely recommend this because it is such good acting. The music selection in this is top tier. But yeah, I have a soft spot for it, so I had to include it. It seems that most of the shows I watch are pretty intense, which might be an issue, but we can look past that. Next, if you like luxury, if you like housing, if you like real estate, if you like interior design, and if you like reality TV shows, then this one is for you. The show I'm talking about is Selling Sunset. The show follows this really rich real estate company led by 2 twin brothers. All their employees seem to be female and they're all gorgeous. And they're selling houses in Hollywood. You get the backstories of their lives and you follow their lives as well. That's pretty much it. I personally love it. I know that other people love it. And it's really easy watching if you need something just to distract your mind or just to give your mind a break if you've had a stressful day. So those are my main recommendations. Now for my holiday treats. Now these are just some of the Christmas films that I've watched on Netflix that personally I go back to every year. They just give me a warm feeling in my heart, you know? So the first movie is The Princess Switch. Basically it's following this baker and her best friend, and they're in this baking competition, so they end up in this other place. I can't remember the names of these places, okay? But just know I've watched these films 100%. And she basically bumps into a princess who is an identical twin. And then they switch lives for a weekend. There's Christmas involved and there's romance involved, and things get a bit sticky. This is a sticky one still.
It's a bit of a sticky one still.
It's actually a really enjoyable film, and there's going to be a second one that comes out this December, which I'm so excited for. Second holiday recommendation is The Holiday Calendar. This movie has Quincy Brown and Kat Graham. That's it. That's all you need to know. It basically follows this photographer and her life and how she basically needs to learn to open up, and it's Christmas time and then she gets given this magical holiday calendar, and it's just nice, okay? I don't know how else to explain it, and if you can't take my word for it, then watch it yourself to find out. Next recommendation is The Holiday. I think it was 2 years ago the first time I watched this film, and I was just so shocked that I'd never watched it before. I love the locations, I love the acting, I love the music choices, I love the original soundtrack. It really is a beautiful film, and yeah, like the main story I guess is like romance, but like that's just a side thing. I really am such a movie geek and like how things are made and stuff, so I feel like the things I capitalize on more is like the acting or the scripts or like the filters they use and the colors they use to represent something. But I'd really recommend it. Lastly, this isn't currently on Netflix, but I know it's been on Netflix before, and that film is Love Actually. Love Actually is my favorite Christmas film aside from The Nativity. And by The Nativity, I don't mean the funny one, even though I do love that one. I mean like Jesus' story. It's such a beautiful story of love and how love actually just prevails through everything and the different dimensions of love. This is gonna make me sound like a hopeless romantic, but I'm really the opposite. Like if you really knew me, you know that that's not me. But I think there's something so powerful in seeing love, and at Christmas time I find it easier to be more loving, and I'm working on that with Jesus, don't you worry. But I feel like it's easier for me to open up around Christmas time. I'm hoping you've seen this movie before. If you haven't, please add it to your list this Christmas. They usually put it on TV. It's great. So those are all my Netflix recommendations for you. I really hope that if you have watched any of these, that you can comment down below which ones are your faves and which ones aren't. And if you do watch any of these, please let me know in the comments or on my Instagram, which is whoopi_m. I honestly cannot wait for Christmas. I'm just itching to listen to Michael Bublé's Christmas album and watch all these Christmas films. I'm so ready to get the tinsel out. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Join our community, I promise we don't bite, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.